I start the new year by tearing out Marella's old manual head and holding tank. The new tank has to be sent off to be modified, and when it comes back, I just about manage to get it back into place. The entire head area is being rebuilt from the ground up, and I'm trying to find room for a wash basin that doesn't slide in and out like the original one. At first, it doesn't seem like it'll be possible, but as I start putting things back together, a plan starts taking shape in my head. Welcome back to One Small Ship. So this morning I'm going to try to figure out the shape of the shelf for the sink, and I took the curve from the wash basin about 1 centimeter out from where it sits, and then I just moved the basin over here and found the tangent line between that curve and the negative curve that I want to come over here, and I drew in that curve, and now I have a nice shape perfectly following the curvature of the wash basin and then ending in a parallel line all the way out here. So hopefully this will mean that we'll have enough room here to open and close the lid of the bowl and still have this permanently mounted so that it doesn't slide in and out. And so let's see if we can do that. Well, look at that. That just works. There is just enough room here and here for the lid to open completely. There is enough room in there to mount the faucet. I think this is actually going to work. We're going to be able to mount this permanently like this. So there's the amount of thread that we can cut off of this thing. I hope that we can move this back a half a centimeter or so on these threads, and then have the ventilation come in there from the tank. All right, let's measure this out and cut that bit off. It's about 9 millimeters. It's time to get rid of the old deck fitting for the pump out, and I think it's just glued to the top of the deck with Sikaflex, and that's the only thing really holding it down. So I can probably just take the multi-tool to it and chisel away at it and get it out of there.
The sealant they've used is definitely not polyurethane based, because the acetone just dissolves it right away, so I think this is probably some silicone based product. It's definitely not made for a marine environment. It's not beautiful, and so I need to get rid of all of that. I'll take all of this down to bare fiberglass so that I can get a fresh couple of coats of epoxy on there before I try to fill this in with new gel coat. So in order to cover this hole from the underside, I'm going to just stick some gaffer's tape on here and make sure that there is plenty of it. So I'm starting with some colloidal silica, just filling in the drill holes.
The warm weather has brought people out to uncover their boats, and the yard is buzzing with activity. The kids' grandparents have come round to visit. Due to COVID, we haven't seen much of each other over the past year, and even though they've been vaccinated by now, we still take precautions. Meeting outside like this, it almost feels like back to normal. After spending some family time, it's time to check on the epoxy.
That looks pretty good. I'm thinking that I will probably put an LED strip here to hide the remnants of that hole. What I'll do on the deck is I'll probably fill that in with gel coat. But today my focus is on this area, and here is where the head is going to sit. And this is the discharge through hole for the holding tank. I've been thinking of different ways that I could use the existing through hole and combine it, but the more I think about it, the less I want to mix black water and grey water. I'm worried that bacteria from the holding tank discharge hose will start climbing into the hose for the drain, and I just don't like drilling holes in the boat. But in this case, I think this seems like the most prudent solution. I can put this contraption in there, and this is sort of what's going to go on the seacock. There's going to be a ball valve, and this piece of wood here will stand in for the hose. So this will be the center of the new through hole right there. So without further ado, let's go and drill a pilot hole.
There we go. Yeah. That's another big hole in the boat. Honey, come here. You take this. Stick it in and push it up against. All right, good. Now hold it there. Can you wave? All right. Put it in now, please. Thank you. All right, I've been struggling with this for a while now, and it's not budging, so I think I'm gonna try the Dremel. So I'm going to put the plastic bag on top here, epoxy the other side, and then when I'm done I'll tape the other side and remove the tape here and epoxy this side.
I think that's going to hold. And now we just do the same on the inside. Now that can sit there and cure for a couple of days, and then we can drill that hole out again and sand it out and make it nice and neat. And then we can put in the new through hole and figure out where the pump is going to go. This is going to be awesome.
I can't tell you how good it feels to be able to just pop inside the cabin and put a kettle on first thing in the morning. I spent so much time fretting over that propane gas installation, and this is the first spring I've been able to do this since I finally finished that project last year. Anyway, hot beverage in hand, I get stuck into today's chores.
So the first order of business is to inspect the hole that I filled in yesterday, and if that is looking good and the epoxy has cured well, then I will drill a new hole and test fit the new through hole and fitting. Alright, let's just tear these off. And there it is. Yeah, I can still stick my nail in this, so I'm going to let it cure for another day or so. Oh, that's crusty. Ugh. I'm so glad we're getting rid of this. Well, yesterday ended on quite a low note when my Dremel decided to die on me. So this morning I went to pick up a new one, and I also picked up a Ryobi Delta sander, which uses the same battery as the drill driver that I got last week. Yesterday also ended in a bit of a panic because I thought that the through holes that I'm mounting, which are 1 1/4 inch, were too big. But this morning I went by the chandlery and I looked at the sinks and the drains that they have there, and every modern sink that they had uses 1 1/4 inch drains. So the first thing I need to do today is to sand down the glassed over hole for the seawater intake in the galley and prepare that for priming and painting, and then we'll get on with installing the new through holes.
I know, I should really have sanded everything down around the through holes before I filled them in. But all of these holes are getting drilled out again. The epoxy is only really there to provide some backing for the new through holes, which are flush mounted and not recessed like the original ones. There's really only one through hole which is getting epoxied over completely, and, well, we'll get to that one.
So since I'm alone at the boat today, I used some tape to hold the through holes in place while I screwed them in and fastened them down to dry fit them. And now I need to put the fittings and valves in to see how much I need to cut these off as close to the deck as possible. I marked out on the through holes where to make the cut, and yes, I'm just going to do it. In order to continue the installation of the seawater intake through hole, I need to install the seawater pump. But in order to fit the pump, I need to move the chargers from this side of the V-berth to the other side. Now that's a fairly major job, because not only do I need to move the chargers to the other side, I need to move the electrics, I need to move the wiring that goes to the batteries, I need to move the cables that go to the alternator on the engine, and I need to move the solar panel cable. So I'm going to put that off for now, and the next thing on my list is to get the through hull for the engine cooling out. And once that's done and I've got the new fittings in there and all of that is sorted out, then hopefully the epoxy in the galley will have cured enough that we can focus on that. And once that's done, then I will move the battery chargers, because I don't want to rip all of the electrics out right now. I do need the electrics working in the boat for now so that I can have light and stuff like that. All right, well, let's get that final through hull out. That nut ain't never gonna move. It's bedded in the fiberglass just like the others. I can't get that out of there. Right about now is when I would like to have a sawzall. Don't know how to get that nut out of there. Actually, I do have the oscillating multi-tool, but I've used that before and it hasn't really been very effective. I'm going to find a socket wrench. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. The new through hole is a 3/4 inch and this is 1/2. So I should be able to just drill around the old through hole. It's going to jump around a little bit because there's nothing to center the drill, but it's not going to be that bad because this hole is going to guide it somewhat. So all I would need to do is just cut off the strainer on the outside and then get the hole saw. Well, that's worth a try, I think.
There's a thick crust of I don't know what on the entire inside of this hole. Yeah, definitely time to replace. Let's see if we can drill this out. Well, I've cleaned up most of this. The inside still needs a good scrubbing, but the outside is ready for epoxy, so let's go mix some up. Most of the old through holes and valves are now out, and it's such a good feeling to look at that old gunk, knowing I no longer have to depend on them for keeping water out of my boat. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell to get notified when there's a new episode out. You can also follow us on social media, check out the links below for that, and thank you so much for watching. Fair winds.